You're a grown man! He's a robot cat! Pull yourself together! Seriously.
Hi. I'm Bobby. I am a robot cat. In the last week and some, Our Lady of Problematic Speculation, Catherine Joy, seems to have tapered down a bit on her YouTube videos surrounding the jigged dancers. So, she has defaulted back to her one true love, the Duggars. Let us react to her recent pregnancy conspiracy video.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel.
You shouldn't just jump out like this.
Topics, kind of
horrific.
Them together because there are two separate things that I wanted to speak about, and one of them is Duggars, and then the other one is this group that we're tracking out of California.
Oh, so you hid your obsession with 7M within a Duggar video?
Said, like, you're not super interested in this group that's in California, and I totally get it. You don't really know or aren't familiar with the players that are involved at this point, but I promise you, this is a story you're going to want to get familiar with, especially if you're into this kind of coverage. This is a story that is likely to blow up a lot like what happened with Keith Raniere's group and other groups that have gotten into a lot of trouble.
I heard you are being sued again. Care to comment?
So I would just say, you know, it might not seem interesting, but there's going to be a lot more information coming out, and there's going to be a lot of details that as it comes out, you're going to be glad you paid attention to these videos, because right now some of these names might not make any difference to you, but in time, I think some of these names are going to go down in infamy, and it's just an overall, like, it's a huge story, huge. So the first thing we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about the Duggars, because why not? Some of you on my Instagram are like, oh my gosh, you don't talk about the Duggars on Instagram. On my Instagram, to be honest, it's a lot easier for me to talk about some of these other topics that are harder to bring to my YouTube channel. So I've been...
Translation. I have finally realized I get the most money out of keeping the Duggar stories exclusive to YouTube. Well, I can discuss stories that are less important to me, so that you may feel I am a true advocate.
I'm doing a lot of posting related to that situation over on my Instagram, and over here I've been talking about the Duggars. But we talked yesterday about how Josh Duggar wants that delay, and I was realizing that I haven't really given you an update about other things going on with the Duggars. Last week I told you about Jill, and she wasn't feeling good. Good news is that she's doing a lot better. In fact, I actually reached out to Derek and I asked him if he and Jill were doing okay. And he did let me know that everything so far is so good, and he appreciated all the good well wishes and all the good thoughts. They weren't at the time totally better, but they were
Receipts, or it did not happen,
on the right track. So Derek and Jill are getting better. So far, baby is okay, according to Derek.
My God. You've eaten half of your hand.
Okay.
Wow.
Next, there's a wedding coming up. So we know that the Duggars love to try to flip things in that are distractions. We know that this would be probably the worst time to get married, because it's like going to be, I don't know, 2 weeks before sentencing. But
Catherine, there are 8,000 Duggars. If they all waited to live their lives when nothing else was going on, they would never do anything at all.
Jeremiah is getting married to the love of his life, Hannah Wisman. So Jeremiah is the twin of Jedediah, and Jedediah is already married to Katie Nikatsu, who is pregnant with their first child. She actually announced her pregnancy so early that, is anyone else like me kind of like, oh my gosh, they're still pregnant? When people end up announcing pregnancies right after they find out, it makes it seem like the pregnancy lasts a lot longer, because sometimes people don't announce it until like 18, 20 weeks. In this case, we found out, I think, around 6 weeks that she was pregnant. So Jeremiah is 23 years old, and he is about to marry Hannah Wisman, who I believe is 27, an older woman. She has been sharing all of the details about her upcoming nuptials all over her Instagram. Looks like she picked out a dress, and it looks like they used Renee's Bridal, who is the same company that did Abby's dress back when she was on Counting On, and they did the whole wedding thing where they put together a big mirror, and they did it back in that warehouse where Josh and Anna then moved into. So the same company is doing her dress. I just checked, and they did not obtain marriage licenses in Arkansas.
Stop it.
Sounds like this wedding is going to be going on in Nebraska. With that being said, I don't know who from the Duggar family is actually going to be in attendance for this wedding. We do know that when she had her bridal show, there was a bunch of the sibling older sisters that did not attend. So she shared a bunch of photographs from her bridal shower, and if you remember, like Jessa wasn't there, Joy wasn't there, Jana wasn't there, and Jill wasn't there. It's out of state, and it's also during a pandemic. Not that they all care about that, but I don't know if Jill and Derek will be going given what they've been dealing with. And I'd be surprised because I think one of the boys actually came down with the virus. Whether or not
I am failing to see how any of this is newsworthy.
some of the older
Never
siblings
mind.
will actually go when it's out of state will remain to be seen. This wedding overall has been kept pretty quiet on where it is and the details, but it is set for Saturday, which is on the 26th. They're not getting married on a Friday. Some of you said that a lot of times fundies don't like to get married on Saturday because they don't want to miss church in the morning, but these are people that don't stay up super late and certainly don't tip them back, if you know what I'm saying. So
I shall never argue with an expert on tipping them back.
I don't think you have to worry about people having a little bit of a headache to go to church the next morning. So Jeremiah and Hannah's wedding is coming up, and this is one of the weirdest weddings I think we've seen because we just don't have any details, at all.
Where are your sources? Interesting.
Jim Bob and Michelle haven't posted about it. I've been shocked at how little Jim Bob and Michelle have said anything. So, and then some of you guys had asked about what's going on with the Metacorp situation. They are frankly over there in Ukraine. I don't know how they got in there. I don't know what they're actually doing, but I'm certain that people that are dealing with what they're dealing with in that country, the last thing they need is anyone to be recruiting them to get into a cult organization like the IBLP.
Perhaps they are doing missionary work. You
Every
idiot.
single one of the members that is part of this group that's over there right now is part of the IBLP, is the last I checked. So I don't know, when you are dealing with a huge crisis like that, do you really want to be exploited and having people spread the gospel to you?
I would imagine they will accept any and all help from anyone. You arrogant twit.
Some news over on Twitter that some people were getting really irritated at the missionaries that were going over there because the last thing they really wanted to be thinking about or dealing with was someone trying to get them to find Jesus when they literally are trying to make sure that they survive. There's also been some pesky rumors about Anna Duggar, and if Anna Duggar is pregnant again. I don't know what channels are spreading this kind of information. I don't know where people dig up this information, but listen, I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard anything, but this whole idea that Anna is pregnant again, she had her baby, I think in October. Josh was convicted in December, and he has been home since then. So if she was pregnant, she would have gotten pregnant beforehand, and I don't see it, you guys. I know that there's everyone thinks she's going to try to get pregnant before, but she hasn't even physically seen him. She hasn't.
So, this truly is clickbait to get your viewers to listen to your obsession with Miranda Derrick.
She has not physically seen him since December. It has been 3 months since she has actually been face to face with him because she's not allowed to go see him where he's at. Some others of you had asked in comments yesterday where he might go because of the way that the federal government sends offenders like him. I did some looking online at the different facilities, and there's a level 2 facility for people like Josh that is in Texas. There's also a level 2 facility that handles people like Josh in Illinois, and there is a penitentiary that's in Arizona.
What was that creepy smiling?
Try to put people
What was that?
as close to the state that they live in, but they don't necessarily have to, depending on they get transferred a lot in the federal system, and it all comes down to what the capacity is. Can they take someone like him at this point? What kind of programs are offered, and what the sentencing report comes down to. So we'll learn that on April 5th. At this point, the judge has again not ruled about his delay of the delay he tried to put in into the court. The judge is still ignoring that. But others of you in the comments reminded me that now that the sentencing report is done, there's not a whole lot of debate going on. The hearing must go on. Okay, So with the Duggar distraction being the wedding and then knowing that the Metacorp thing is happening in Ukraine, which I still can't believe, Jessa is in the process of moving. Well, not moving. She did a quick video on her YouTube where she let people know that they're installing cabinetry. They are still not done on this remodel of that house, the parsonage house that she's living at for church. So
perhaps she should join the mommy group on Facebook and grift the members for money. Never mind.
They're going to move in. They have literally been renovating this since last summer. It's one of the longest renovations I've ever seen happen. It shouldn't take this long to renovate a house, but they also have other things going on in their lives. So, there's that too. And then other than that, there was some stuff that happened last week that came out about the pastor that Jeremy Bolo is involved with, John MacArthur. I didn't really touch on it over here just because honestly, there was a super detailed report that was put out online. I'll put a link to this article, but it was basically just that John MacArthur protected a guy that was doing horrible things to his kids, and he shamed the woman publicly, told her that she couldn't divorce him. And that husband is now in prison for life, and he's never publicly apologized to her for the advice and what she says were years of harassment for her to publicly take him back and not divorce him, even though he did atrocious things to their children.
Why do these situations make you smile?
So,
wow.
That's kind of what's been going on in that realm of things. Oh, and then some of you guys, I did a video yesterday and I talked about Mike Huckabee. By the way, I was not saying that Mike Huckabee is currently in a cult, but it is factual knowledge that Mike Huckabee did hang out with Bill Gothard and actually was helping Bill Gothard spread the character qualities and create character first cities. And he frequently was a part of it, and he spoke openly about doing the seminars. So you can go back in history and see that he was at one point in time involved with the IBLP. He's not anymore, but he was at one point in time. And that's really kind of how the Duggars and the Huckabees became friends, was through this organization and through politics. Okay. So now we're going to talk about something that I think is super important, and you have all been sort of lukewarm to this new topic, but I think it's a super important one to talk about because we have a unique opportunity with a story to really get in at the ground floor and make a difference by helping to spread awareness about what's happening to a group of people in California. It's really, I think, hard for some people to get invested in this story because it's with people you don't know.
Or perhaps it is due to the fact that the majority of these people openly express their happiness and their current life situation, which quite frankly is none of your concern.
To be honest, most of us knew nothing about half of the people that were in NXIVM or even other groups like Jim Jones's group or David Koresh. There's usually not tons of celebrities in these groups. So even though you don't necessarily know who the people are, it doesn't change the fact that the stories and the information that's coming out about it is horrible. Some of you suggested that there's not kids involved. I will say, yes, there are. We just haven't gotten to that part of the story yet. But yesterday, I got notified by one of my subscribers, one of my followers on Instagram, who's got a whole page dedicated to exposing this group. They had uncovered some audio.
We all know that Instagram account is you.
Church. And it was really disturbing to me because there was some audio in there that I found completely horrific. The audio was just it confirmed what I was saying in all of my posts. One, they worship the guy. They literally worship this guy.
We declare that the vision that you have given our pastor, the prophet of this church, the leader of the mighty nation, on our man of God right now, oh Lord, to take us in to the next level, to take us up higher. We declare increased anointing. We declare fresh revelation from.
And they speak in tongues while they're worshiping him, and they believe that they are the mighty chosen people. So he's taken a passage from the book of Isaiah, I think chapter 60 verse 22, which says that there is when there's a prophecy by Isaiah that when God comes, there's going to be a mighty nation, and that little mighty nation is going to be the select that God takes to heaven.
and your own husband is involved in a belief system to which you can only enter Valhalla if you have pleas to the gods. And if you have been a true warrior, we all know he will never enter Valhalla under the circumstances. Never mind.
When rapture happens, or like when they return to the world. And he is of the belief that, one, he's a prophet. His congregation literally prays for him and calls him man of God in this audio. And then they also, they say they're his sheep and they're going to be taken higher and higher. This is a cult that's preparing for doomsday.
So, they read the Bible.
He's also got some similarities with other really bad guys. And if you're wondering if there's bad stuff happening to women, there's a lot of allegations. There was a lawsuit back in 2009, but there's also former members that I've spoken to that have provided a lot of details about really horrible things that this guy got involved in and has done to women throughout the years.
Prove it.
And a lot of financial exploitation and alleged theft of people in the name of God. Like right now,
you're smirking again.
Freaking Bentley. So there's also been questions that it only involves one person named Miranda. That's again not true. I've spoken to multiple family members, and multiple family members are going through and experiencing the same problems with this group, but unfortunately are afraid to speak out because they don't want to be alienated from their loved one.
You are obsessed with Miranda.
So the audio I'm going to play for you is just a joking about waterboarding.
Remember Dom standing kneeling there and getting waterboarded. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord for people servants of the Lord who obey the prophetic leading and decide to just pour water all over somebody.
So,
Catherine, they are young people joking about full immersion
these
baptisms.
Types of services go on for 4+ hours sometimes, and then he is also doing a sermon for 2 to 3 hours on a Sunday. So they worship anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and then they do a sermon for 2 to 4 hours. So they're like in church all day Sunday. And one marker of a cult is they will use music as a way to get people into a trance. And in this group, they specifically get people to speak in tongues. But a lot of people in my comments had noted that they're not even using the tongues practice correctly because nobody's interpreting what the tongues are saying. I don't know anything about tongues. I know that some religions practice it. I don't think as a whole that there's anything wrong with it. I think in this case, they're using it to praise a man and not God. And I think when you are putting a prophet before others, there's a huge problem. When you're telling people there's a select few and you're waiting for Judgment Day and you're waiting for the rapture, we know that bad things can happen with groups like that.
So, similar to the thousands of people who hang on to your every word. Despite your track record of lying. And despite being a self-proclaimed atheist who hates organized religion. Yet, your husband worships multiple gods. Interesting.
Now we are sheep with shepherd. Pastor of this church, the leader of the mighty nation that you have called, Lord, that you have declared the smallest clan shall become a mighty nation.
We know it looks like there's essentially human trafficking happening right before our eyes online.
This is a hefty allegation, Catherine.
And there's a lot of family members that are desperately worried. We're going to continue to share the story and hopefully bring some more people's stories forward about their experience in this group. And I hope you can find a way to get invested in it, because I promise you it's going to get huge soon. It's already blowing up all over the news. And if you haven't, just Google Miranda Derrick or 7M cult. It's everywhere. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below.
My thoughts? I should like to hear comment on rumors of recent lawsuits. I should also like to know why you chew on your hand as if it is a rawhide. I should also like to know when you are finally going to get that fixed. Cheers.